our board chairman, Willie Flash Davis, to trustees, faculty, staff, alumni, friends, and our most cherished resource, the students of Morehouse College. I'd like to welcome you all to this grand convocation of the academic year 2007 and 8. I begin also by paying abiding tribute to President Emeritus Walter Massey and First Lady Shirley Massey. Their legacy of service, leadership, and love for Morehouse is everywhere evident, and our great college is so much stronger today. Many new faculty members joined this Morehouse this year, and I'd like to ask the new faculty if they would stand at this time and be recognized. Welcome. We celebrate new faculty and staff, especially for the new energy and creativity that they bring. But we acknowledge and affirm with great appreciation those faculty and staff who have invested many years in the Morehouse mission. Indeed, I'd like to ask all of our faculty and staff if they would just stand once more. For we owe you appreciation. Listening to Provost Sheftall reflect on his Glee Club days, I have to note that among my fondest memories, indeed the best memories of any alumnus of this college, are the teachers who made Morehouse special. Indeed, I feel their presence in this sanctuary today. Brisbane, Watson, Jones, Grant, E.B. Williams, McBabe, Mapp, Barber, Hume, Gloucester, Nix, Haynes, E.A. Jones, Whalen, Sam Williams, and so many, many others. And I would add the staff who spent long years and administrators who served this college: Agnes Watson, Pop Warner, Hugh Gloucester, Leroy Keith, Wiley Perdue. Most of the teachers and staff were brilliant, some a bit colorful and quirky. But all of them loved Morehouse, and they seemed to understand precisely why excellence at Morehouse was so important. They understood that by educating one young man well, they were making a long-term investment in the future of our families, the well-being of our village, the vitality of our sanctuaries, the wealth of nations, and the betterment of humanity. Today, on behalf of the great faculty and staff of yesterday, and of all those who gather here today, I ask and expect all of you to rededicate yourselves to the core mission of Morehouse, the education of tomorrow's leaders. Now, this is convocation, and at the root of the verb convoke in Latin is the word vocare, which means to call, as in vocation or calling. Note the related terms of invoke, as in an invocation or prayer, to evoke, to call out, and to revoke, something we hope never to do with your degrees, to call back. But this is convocation, calling together. And what is the purpose of calling together at this time? At the beginning of an academic year, it is our good habit to reaffirm our institutional mission of liberal arts education, and this year to engage the vision of a new president. But before sharing vision language, I dare not go any further without a special word of appreciation for you men of Morehouse. Indeed, it's hard to believe that as I look at this great gathering of Morehouse, men of Morehouse, at least these seniors in 8 to 10 short months, they will go forth as the next wave of Morehouse men. Yeah. Yeah. But to the entire student body, let me say to you, brothers, you do not realize how much I admire you, how much we admire you, and indeed how much all of us appreciate your presence on this campus. As I travel about, I brag about you. And when things are not right on this campus, my equilibrium is disturbed and my impatience grows because we missed another opportunity to achieve excellence. You, my brothers, are what Morehouse is all about. Many of you have come here against great odds, we know that, resisting every sort of obstacle and temptation and discouragement. You have defied all the negative stereotypes, and you ignored the odds. Now that you are here, we are privileged to provide for you a first-rate education. My vision for Morehouse builds upon that of my distinguished predecessor. Indeed, President Massey called us to the sort of excellence that would place us among the finest liberal arts colleges in the nation. Judging from most indicators, as our board chair has alluded to some, we've made significant progress toward that goal. Like every human institution, we have improvements that can and will be made, and we will pull together to accomplish them. But only those who are looking far and looking forward stand in a position to seize tomorrow's possibilities. And so let us imagine a bit in order that we may plan and execute with excellence. Indeed, that we may realize our greatest in passe, our greatest possibilities. Our historical mission has been to provide an excellent liberal arts education primarily to African American men. I like to talk about that historical mission as the Morehouse magic of performing miracles with young men, of achieving Ivy League results with HBCU resources. It seems to me we do this through 4 key practices. We project high expectations. We support those expectations through a collective mentoring, faculty, staff, chaplains, students, even alumni and community leaders who love Morehouse. Collective mentoring. Third, we focus on the comprehensive development of the student, not merely cognitive excellence, but also character excellence and physical well-being. And fourth, we expose our Morehouse students to inspiring role models, most of them our own alums. That has been the Morehouse way, and that will certainly remain our core mission and strategy as we continue to build strength in that work. Morehouse has become a national convener of individuals and institutions concerned with the plight and prospects of African American men. But we have an opportunity to become the nation's leading clearinghouse on research and leadership development aimed at fostering positive outcomes for Black boys and men. This opportunity will require careful planning and investment of resources to ensure that which we do complements rather than competes with our core identity as a liberal arts college. Our mission is profoundly rooted in our heritage, and my vision builds on that firm foundation, but also reaches forth to seize new possibilities on the golden horizon. Consider the context for my vision. A few years ago, there was an internet thought exercise titled Something to Think About. Perhaps some of you saw this or a version of it. It asked the reader to shrink the Earth's entire population to 100 people, with all of the existing human demographic ratios remaining the same. This is not what we might look like or could look like, but what there actually would be. Now, although this exercise was several years old, some ratios may have changed, but still it makes the point effectively, I think. The test breaks down in this way. We'd consist of 57 Asians, 21 Europeans, 14 from North and South America, 8 Africans, 52 would be female, 48 would be male. 70 would be darker-skinned people. 30 white people. 70 would be from a religious tradition other than Christianity. 30 would be Christian. 89 would be heterosexual. 11 homosexual. 59% of the entire world's wealth would belong to only 6 people, and all 6 would be residents of the United States. 80 would live in substandard housing. 70 would be unable to read. 50 would suffer from malnutrition. 50. 1 would be near death. 1 would be near birth. Only 1 would have a college education. 99 of them would not see this message because only 1 would have a computer. And then it concludes, when one considers our world from this compressed perspective, the need for both acceptance and understanding becomes glaringly apparent, end quote. Now, my vision is that Morehouse will become a global resource for educated and ethical leaders. In our post-9/11 state of affairs, engaging the world with intelligence and integrity is our ultimate ethical challenge and opportunity. Working to create a just America is important, to be sure, but it will be for naught if the rest of the world regards us with contempt because we failed to share our material and intellectual prosperity. In short, this nation and Western civilization needs ambassadors who possess and promote enlightenment, integrity, and peace predicated upon justice. These are the very things our greatest and most generous alumnus did as he offered his life in service to others. I'm convinced that we can, that we should pursue this course because it is in our institutional DNA. Morehouse leaders have always been far-sighted and focused on the global arena. From the era of President John Hope's tours abroad to monitor black soldiers in Europe, to Benjamin Mays' service at the World Council of Churches, to Walter Massey's advocacy for peaceful applications of science to global problems, Morehouse has been and should be a force for good both here in zip code 30314 and on the far side of the earth. Although the field of institutions engaged in internationalization is crowded, this faculty has begun to catalog and clarify the Morehouse advantage here. I've learned much from them in reading reports and listening and joining discussions regarding our quality enhancement project, which is part of our reaffirmation of accreditation process. The topic of internationalization has emerged as a priority from our distinguished faculty. Moreover, the Morehouse faculty and student body are wonderfully diverse and will continue to include more international voices and perspectives. I celebrate the many students here from Asia, Africa, South America, the Caribbean, and Europe who have chosen Morehouse as your college home. Every college or university has its own unique ecology in which liberal arts education occurs. For Morehouse, we have a solid liberal arts education organized into 3 divisions, guided by capable and committed teachers, researchers, scholars, and public intellectuals. Our solid liberal arts core is complemented and buttressed by a variety of exciting and innovative centers, institutes, and programs. I want all of these moving parts to work together like the high-performance engine of a Porsche 911, the finest sports car ever made. Working together, however, requires that we communicate effectively across institutional boundaries. We cannot seize the future working in separate silos with little curiosity or openness to learning from our colleagues or to sharing ideas and information with them. But what is unique about Morehouse in the arena of educating thinkers and leaders for our global predicament? In addition to our institutional DNA, consider the message written in our campus landscape. The Morehouse campus is situated within certain sacred boundaries or landmarks that define our legacy and our destiny. In fact, everything we do on this campus happens between the pointing finger of Dr. King outside this chapel at one end of the campus and the far-looking gaze of Benjamin Elijah Mays at the other end of campus. Mays's gaze seems to invite us to focus on the purpose and the destiny of Morehouse men. But King's pointing finger seems to direct us toward the front lines of the social crisis where we are most needed. But look again, Mays appears to be peering out down that lovely yard where President John Hope stands, watching over the old front gate, warning all who enter here to abandon their egos. King stands tall, but he is flanked on one side by theologian Howard Thurman, who was his college chaplain at Boston University. And on the other side lies Hugh Gloucester, the modern architect of modern Morehouse. A mere walk through this campus is an encounter with greatness. You cannot walk to your classroom or to the cafeteria without bumping into a Morehouse monument that evokes your possibility and invokes your responsibility. Don't y'all make me preach here. No other campus in America has these campus monitors and monuments calling us beyond ourselves. In advancing our historical commitment to embracing a global mandate, there are 3 readings from the Morehouse College Martin Luther King Papers collection that I'd like to assign every student, faculty member, staff person, and trustee to read or reread. 3 readings. First, Dr. King's earliest and I think his most famous sermon, 3 Dimensions of a Complete Life. I believe that message was something of an intellectual paradigm for King. Many other sermons emanated from it. Much of his prescient social analysis was rooted in that paradigm. And indeed, his Nobel Peace Lecture essentially lifted the 3 dimensions of a complete life. That's number 1. The second, the justly famous letter from Birmingham jail, where it illustrates what a Morehouse man can do, what a Morehouse man can produce when he is unjustly snatched out of freedom and locked up in a jail. Without books, without paper, King sat and produced the letter from Birmingham jail. I ask you today, gentlemen, what could you produce if you were incarcerated unjustly for a week or 2? That Morehouse man reached deep within and brought forth wisdom and insight, knowledge, without the benefit of research texts. It is an extraordinary moral treatise that we will read together, and an important response to racism and ignorance that I think, particularly on this day, would inspire the students and some of our Morehouse brothers who gather in Jena, Louisiana today, and we pay tribute to them. But third, Dr. King's final book, 1968, Where Do We Go From Here? Read the whole book, but it's really the final chapter I want you to focus upon. It is titled The World House. It's just 28 pages in my copy. The World House, the last chapter of Dr. King's last book. And that's the one I focus on here for a moment. For in it, Alumnus King opens with the story of a novelist who died. And among his personal papers were ideas for future stories. One of the most prominently highlighted ideas was the following. A widely separated family inherits a house in which they have to live together. And King writes, "This is the great new problem of humankind. We have inherited a large house, a great world house in which we have to live together, black and white, Easterner and Westerner, Gentile and Jew, Catholic and Protestant, Muslim and Hindu, a family unduly separated in ideas, culture, and interest, who, because we can never again live apart, must learn somehow to live with each other in peace," end quote. And then in my favorite quote, he says, "All people are interdependent. Whether we realize it or not, each of us lives eternally in the red. We are everlasting debtors to known and unknown men and women. When we arise in the morning, we go into a bathroom where we reach for a sponge provided for us by a Pacific Islander. We reach for soap that's created for us by a European. Then at the table, we drink coffee provided by a South American, or tea by a Chinese, or cocoa by a West African. Before we leave for our jobs in the morning, we are already beholden to more than half of the world. All life is interrelated. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly," end quote. Now that's how Dr. King, Alumnus King, focused on our inescapable global interdependence. I will forever be grateful to Morehouse for providing me the opportunity in 1973 to spend my junior year at the University of Durham, England. Another dear classmate who became my roommate, Dr. Asa G. Yancey, Jr., received the same English-speaking Union Luard Scholarship for study in Edinburgh, Scotland. But that year became the foundation for part of my life's calling, trying to situate the African-American experience and the American story within a larger global narrative. The best of the Morehouse tradition urges all of us to deparochialize our stories and to interpret our lives within this global frame of interdependence. If this vision of internationalizing Morehouse works, people will soon say of Morehouse men that they refuse to limit themselves to domestic concerns, but that they are informed and concerned about global politics, global world markets, scientific and technological advancements, cultural trends, and ecological issues. I want people to say you can tell a Morehouse man because you can see his bags are packed and he's ready to go, offering hope and enlightenment where despair reigns. And we will go forth, men of Morehouse, not simply as tourists or students or employees, but also as ambassadors of the Morehouse message. Indeed, I'd like to suggest that we need each of you to become post-9/11 world citizens and ambassadors for civility and social justice. Now, in order to fulfill this mission, I'm calling for the Renaissance of Morehouse College. This takes us back to our core mission. As I've said before, Renaissance means rebirth. This is another way of framing a call for excellence and greatness. Renaissance and renewal must occur across the board in order for us to achieve our ultimate mission of having a real impact through education and service on the multidimensional quality of life issues on this planet. This is a call, vocari, to Renaissance for our Board of Trustees, a dedicated group of stakeholders whom we will need to redouble their good efforts to provide ever greater resources and guidance for this audacious journey. We call for the Renaissance of Morehouse alumni. That proud family must now become an even more generous family. Alumni must stretch and give beyond the reachable goals they imagined and achieved before. We call for the Renaissance of the Morehouse faculty, smart and devoted teachers. We are strong and we must grow stronger. And allow me to be specific. There are two initiatives that I've begun to negotiate that are in their early stages that I hope we will join together. One partnership is with the historic Chautauqua Institution in Western New York. That institution hosts a 9-week summer program organized around expert lectures and artistic presentations. It also includes an impressive set of programs on interfaith dialogue and recreation. The Chautauqua Institution would like to explore having Morehouse faculty and students as resources while offering you an opportunity to write and be renewed in its bucolic setting. The other is an initiative with Emory University emanating from its strategic initiative on race and difference, with which I was affiliated in my last assignment. Emory's provost and I would like to bring students and faculty from Morehouse, Spelman, and Emory initially to engage two important texts, W.B. Du Bois's The Souls of Black Folk and William Julius Wilson's The Declining Significance of Race. We envision those dialogues leading to other forms of mutually beneficial and substantial partnership. Beyond these, I want to see a renewed emphasis on first-rate writing skills throughout our curriculum, every year of a student's time here. I'm aware of some of our basic infrastructure and aesthetic challenges that simply require the investment of more resources. I will ask the alumni, the board, and our external friends around the globe to stand and deliver as they help us resource the Renaissance. We call for the Renaissance of Morehouse staff, most of whom already labor long and hard to serve our publics. We must support their continued professional development so that each year we can see and measure improvement in student and customer service. And to the staff, now I'm asking you to give more of your very best support and service to our faculty, students, alumni, and the public. I cannot call for the Renaissance of the men of Morehouse without beginning with administrators, staff, and faculty. Let this convocation be a time for all of us to rededicate ourselves to the Renaissance, a new level of excellence and ethics. And finally, we call for the Renaissance of the men of Morehouse. You tall, proud, shining men, the nation the world looks to, hope, respect. Men of Morehouse, you're the reason that we're here. Much blood was shed to bring you to this hour in history. Escaped slaves were tortured in pursuit of the literacy that you and I take for granted. And in our darkest hour, the Negro Baptists of Georgia gave more than any of us will ever know to keep Morehouse alive. Before the corporations and foundations of this land discovered us, our grandmothers and grandfathers put their dollars and their prayers together to build this place. And even now, many of your families are sacrificing for you to be here. That's why I'm energized to call for a renaissance of dignity and decorum on this campus. So many have given so much, so that so few of you could learn and ultimately give back in service to a global village in crisis. Brothers, we must show the young boys in 30314 and beyond. Show them that we can resolve conflict without coming to blows. We call for the renaissance of ethics and character, saying yes to personal restraint and class and community service, and saying no to plagiarism, no to petty theft, no to profanity in public space. absolute no to disrespecting or abusing our sisters and women in the community. And no to the kind of personal dress that is inappropriate for an adult learning community. Yes, this is a renaissance that will involve a little personal sacrifice. But look at what the ancestors sacrificed for you. It's not too great a price, brothers. In fact, reflecting on this topic of sacrifice as I take my seat. In 1939, W.B. Du Bois addressed a commencement exercise of Howard University. This is what he said to them regarding the topic of sacrifice. He says, to increase abiding satisfaction for the mass of our people and all people, someone must sacrifice something of his own happiness. This is a duty only to those who recognize it as a duty. It is silly to tell intelligent human beings, be good and you will be happy. The truth is today, be good, be decent, be honorable and self-sacrificing, and you will not always be happy. You will often be desperately unhappy. You may even be crucified, dead and buried. And the third day you will be just as dead as the first. But, Du Bois continues, but with the death of your happiness, my, what an extraordinary phrase. With the death of your happiness may easily come increased happiness and satisfaction and fulfillment for others, strangers, unborn babes, uncreated worlds. If that is not sufficient incentive, never try it, remain hogs, end quote. And so, as we gather under this convocation mandate, let us be inspired by the words of our college motto, et facta est lux. And then there was light. I'm sitting down in 30 seconds, but I want you to know that in the book of Genesis, we confront a portrait of primordial chaos and darkness. Genesis, like other creation myths, similar to ancient stories of creation. But the writers here seem to imagine that whatever preceded creation, it was formless and void. It says that the Creator was surrounded by chaos, surrounded by a mess. But the Creator is not discouraged, not hopeless, not powerless. The Creator begins to work, begins to make things happen. And it begins with a word, just a word. Dr. Asa Hilliard taught us about West African dialects in which the power of a well-spoken word sets things in motion. He calls it the no-mo. And so the Creator says, let there be light. Et facta est lux. Then there was light. It's just started with a word. Et facta est lux. In other words, with a word, something began to stir in the minds and the spirits of the people. And they pulled together in a new way and said, let us make light. But fast forward to the 19th century, when our ancestors were standing in the ashes of the Civil War, surrounded by chaos and crisis. Something in them said, let there be light. They did not wait for other folk to deliver light. Something in them said, let there be light, and they made Morehouse. They didn't just simply hope and pray that others would make it happen. And so I say to you today on this convocation day, let us together make Morehouse. Let us make light. And while facing that rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won.